I'm Bill Eigel. I'm running for governor to crack down on illegal immigration.
Él es Bill Eigel y tomará medidas enérgicas contra la inmigración ilegal. Ay, caramba.
Well, that incredibly, unbelievably racist campaign ad comes courtesy of Bill Eigel, Missouri state senator and the Republican gubernatorial candidate. And believe it or not, it actually gets worse than what we've already showed you. So stick around for that. I'm sure you all can't wait. But first, we have another bigoted Republican to hear from. This time, well, it's everyone's favorite bigot. It's United States Senator Tommy Tuberville. He was asked about Kamala Harris, and he decided to slander immigrants while criticizing her. He's multitasking. Take a look.
We got no chance for somebody like Kamala Harris. She is even farther left than Joe Biden. I didn't think they could pick anybody any worse, but they did. Some of the people up here starting to jump on the ship, but that makes no difference. You know, the American people have seen what's happened, and they've had to live what's happening. Larry, that's the main thing. They've had to live through this sorry economy that we're going through, the open borders that Kamala Harris herself has been in charge of. I mean, how can you put somebody in charge of a situation where you let 15, possibly even 20 million people come in our countries? Now, some of these people are good, but most of them are garbage. They come from jails and prisons from other countries, and they've known that, and we're going to live in very tough times in the years to come because of a lot of these people that have come in here with different agendas other than living in the great country that we live in now.
Okay, in case you missed it, let's play that one more time. Let's listen to this.
Some of these people are good, but most of them are garbage.
Yep, that's what he said. This story, it actually makes my ears hot, which doesn't happen very often, but garbage, he said that they're garbage. People coming into the United States after many, and most of them are looking for better economic opportunity for themselves and for their families, or they're trying to escape violence and persecution. They are garbage, according to a sitting US senator. But we have to ask, beyond the clearly bigoted nature of that statement, is he right about many of these immigrants coming from prisons? As we know, that is a favorite talking point of Trump's, who constantly says that migrants are coming from jails and insane asylums. But according to multiple fact-checking organizations, surprise, surprise, he hasn't cited any reliable evidence for any of his claims. Reporting from CNN said this: Trump's campaign failed to provide any evidence that South American countries are emptying mental health facilities to somehow send patients to the US. CNN then reached out to a pro-Trump super PAC asking for evidence for Trump's mental institution story, but a spokesperson just did not respond. CNN said that they next turned to two groups that advocate for reduced immigration, the Center for Immigration Studies and the Federation for American Immigration Reform, which would be good candidates to be aware of any such evidence. They said they hadn't seen anything that would corroborate Trump's claims. Of course, it's true that some people who come in are in fact criminals, but there's no proof that they're flooding in because countries are opening their jails and mental institutions. Not to mention the fact that plenty of American criminals here were born and bred in this country. Look at Donald Trump, for example. But none of that has stopped Republicans from spreading hate about immigrants, which brings us back to our other lovely fellow, Bill Eigel. Here's the rest of his ad.
I'm Bill Eigel. I'm running for governor to crack down on illegal immigration.
Él es Bill Eigel y tomará medidas enérgicas contra la inmigración ilegal.
No more taxpayer handouts for illegals, period. Nada. Zilch. Zero.
No más ilegales, no más dinero, no más fiestas.
We're throwing them in jail and sending them back where they came from.
Ay, caramba.
Andre, arriba.
It's time to take Missouri back.
He's sending them back to the jails where they came from. I'm almost at a loss for words with all of this. Some of the best people that I know personally are immigrants, including my parents. And for the majority of the immigrants that I personally know, and I know a lot of them, they didn't come here to commit crimes. They came here to get educated and they came here to work, and that is what they did. Some of them suck, sure, but a lot of Americans suck too. But you all know that. Everyone watching the show knows that. The people who don't know that are the people who are watching guys like Tuberville on Fox News. I will never understand racism or xenophobia. I'll never understand how someone can think that they're better than literally anyone just because they look a certain way or because, they were born on one side of some imaginary line. But I know people, I live in Texas, right? I know people who watch Fox News, and I know that they are very antagonistic towards immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal. They will tell you that it's just the illegal ones that they have a problem with. But the truth is, they have no way of knowing who's legal and who isn't, and they will always assume the latter. And they have to assume because they don't actually interact with very many immigrants in their daily lives. So it's easy for people to be fearful of the unknown, of what's out there, and they don't go out there. They sit at home and they watch Fox News and they pretend to know something about the world when they know nothing. Okay, so Waz, you talk now. What do you think?
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
I think the three of us on this call all have immigrant parentage. So obviously we're biased towards liking immigrants. That goes without saying. But look, the Tommy Tuberville thing, that's just hardcore racism, damn near Klan speak. There's no other way to put it. That Missouri gubernatorial candidate, he put a lighthearted spin on his racism, but it was racism nonetheless. And what I will say is that the immigration thing, they're not speaking to anything like factual. I feel like that's a big feelings topic. People just have a general feeling that there are folks coming here and getting over and taking advantage. And there are people who are already here who aren't getting what they need, and resources are being drained by people who didn't wait their turn to come. And again, I will say this, I don't agree with immigration hawks, but I don't think you have to be as foaming at the mouth with racism as Tommy Tuberville in order to see, the illegal immigration situation as a problem. In fact, a lot of immigrants in this country see the illegal immigration situation that's going on right now as an issue, right? And I think the Democrats need to improve their messaging on said issue. But what I will never get tired of saying it, and I will say it every single time, these people are coming from places that have been directly and adversely impacted by US policy. They are the victims of horrible regimes, horrible US-backed policies that have made life in places like Guatemala unlivable for some. And so for them to come to America after we've ruined the place where they live, because don't make no mistake about it, these places in what we call the global South, Central America, South America, unless it's like Brazil or even like Argentina, they don't really have much sovereignty. If the US comes up there and says, we want you to do X, Y, and Z, that's what happens. A lot of people are gonna say, they have autonomy, like you're taking away their agency. No, the US dictates terms to these smaller countries. And when our policy ruins these folks' lives, we can't then have them come up here trying to find a better life and turn them away. Like that can't be our policy. And believe me, anybody who's turning up their nose at these quote unquote illegal aliens or whatever the hell they're calling them, like think to yourself, you think these people left Guatemala because they were dying to live in Missouri? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you out of your mind? That's insane, dude.
Oh my God, Waz, you're amazing. Okay, man, I have a lot of thoughts. I agree with pretty much everything you said. And, Republicans who spew that kind of vile rhetoric seem to get a rise out of triggering the left. So I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction of offending me, even though their rhetoric is gross. But I do wanna focus on the actual policy and something that you touched on, Waz, which is the way Americans feel, like what the vibes are in regard to illegal immigration, right? And so first, let me just note that there was a successful effort to get a bipartisan bill crafted in the Senate to reform immigration. And honestly, it was more a giveaway to what Republicans have been wanting for many decades in regard to immigration policy. And I love that they're literally campaigning on immigration when the Republican Party squashed that bill to essentially give them something to campaign on, right? Like they're one-trick ponies and they love to, really focus on this particular issue because, there's a fear-mongering element, yes, but at the same time, I think it would be a mistake to assume that there aren't actual tangible consequences to certain communities that have been seeing an influx of asylum seekers come into their cities, right? So I've been talking a little bit about this because I'm worried about it. I want Democrats to have a good solution to it, because if they don't have a good solution to it, well, then you actually create a situation in which these anti-immigrant ideologues seem to have a leg to stand on. It gives them credibility and merit when I don't think they have much credibility or merit at all, right? We do have a broken immigration system. We do need to reform it. We need a pathway to citizenship. We need to bring back protections for DACA recipients. So these are people who came to the country through no fault of their own. Their parents brought them here when they were literally children, okay? And they've been here almost their entire lives. The idea of deporting them just doesn't make much sense to me. Besides which, they are a part of the fabric of this country. They're a big part of the economy in this country. The idea of just deporting everybody is just so dumb and gives you a sense of the ridiculous black and white thinking that you oftentimes get from right-wing ideologues on this matter. Now, with that said, though, we really should not discount how communities like those living in Chicago are feeling, how people in Denver are feeling, how people in New York. I think it got a little bit better in New York, but New York was also, just struggling with providing the resources necessary to house, shelter, feed this massive influx of asylum seekers. And I'm gonna keep it real. Biden definitely dropped the ball on this issue, 100%. And Biden set Kamala Harris up for failure. Look, I'm not gonna be gaslit about this, okay? Because now you have CNN, MSNBC, all of these, cable news networks and network news alleging Kamala Harris was never the immigration czar. Never the immigration czar. Guys, come on. There's video.
What was she doing when she said don't come?
Yeah.
What job was she executing when she told us not to come?
So he did name her immigration czar, which is why one of the first things we saw from Kamala Harris as a vice president was, her trip to Latin American countries and that infamous speech where she said, don't come. But guys, it is up to Congress to pass legislation. It is up to the president of the United States to use the bully pulpit and to work with members of Congress to pass legislation. Are we really gonna pretend like the vice president really has any power at all? I mean, maybe the vice president behind the scenes has some sway, but in terms of actual raw power, the VP is really mostly a ceremonial role and an individual who would break a tie in the Senate, should there be one, and an individual who would have to step up to the plate if something actually happened to the president, he could no longer be the president. And so again, naming her immigration czar was really stupid on Biden's behalf. It did set her up for failure. And I don't think the right approach is to gaslight the American people and pretend like she wasn't named the immigration czar. She was. And what I would do if I were Kamala Harris is immediately talk about what you would do on this issue, right? What you were unable to do as VP because of what the position actually means, but what you envision for the future should you be given the honor by the American people to serve this country as president of the United States.
Yeah, I think that transparency would go a long way too, right? If she would just kind of take off the blinders to, bring down the veil a little bit and just say, this is what I was able to do. As far as vice presidents go in this country, you can either go one of two routes. You can be like a Mike Pence or you can be a Dick Cheney. And for Kamala Harris, I know we were kind of talking about this earlier in the show. We haven't really seen a whole lot from her in the 4 years that Biden has been president. So the way that she's coming out now, it is good to see, but she really needs to start talking about what she's been up to for these last 4 years. And she needs to address the immigration policy. And to your point, Anna, I do agree with you that there is a way to deal with illegal immigration in this country that is not so hateful, that is not dripping with hateful rhetoric. But I think on the left especially, we just want to pretend that it's not happening sometimes or pretend that the issue is not as bad as it is. But there is an issue at the border. There is illegal immigration happening. There is a way to deal with it. You can find a way to deal with it. It doesn't have to be, putting border police on horseback and whipping people, which is what they were doing at one point, and putting them in cages or whatever. It doesn't have to be inhumane, but it does need to be addressed as a matter of policy. And I think going forward, Kamala Harris does have a good opportunity to address all of this and hopefully do better than Biden did. So
just don't run away from the issue. Right. Address it head on, do so forcefully, confidently, and show that you actually have a vision for America's future and a vision for what we're gonna do moving forward on this topic.
But see, and this is what folks need to understand, like that message that she read, when she's talking about Israel, like that's nothing. That's not political skill right there. Actually dealing with the issues that you don't have the right of way. And like talking about abortion, that's easy for you when you're a Democrat, when you know that's a winning issue. Where you show your talent is how you deal with the issues that are a little bit tougher to navigate. And Kamala Harris has to show that she has the talent to effectively message to the American people that she has an idea, a plan, and one that's humane for what's going on at the border and how we handle all the undocumented folks that are already here.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.